Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'll be teaching you how to make this beautiful dress without dots in front. So the first thing I'm going to do is to insert my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 15 divided by 2. I'm going 1 inch down. I'll mark that, and then I'll mark my neck width, which is just about 3.5 inches. I create the shoulder slant, and then I'm going to insert the neck depth like so. I'll use my French curve to make that. Then I have my armhole depth, which is about bust measurement divided by 6 plus 1.5. I use that to draw the line like so. And then I'll be dividing that by 2 and coming in by half an inch in order to create the armhole curve. And then I'll be inserting my bust measurement divided by 4. At this point, I'll be adding 1 inch for the sewing allowance at the side. I use my French curve there to create the armhole. Look at that. Next thing I'm going to be doing is inserting the half length of my dress. That's my shoulder to the waist measurement. At that point, I insert the waist measurement divided by 4, and then I put in 1 inch for the darts and 1 inch for the sewing allowance. I'll join those two lines, which is forming the side, and then I'll be going down from the waist measurement to the hip line by 8 inches. I insert my hip measurement divided by 4, and then I join the line. Okay, and then I'm going down to the bottom of the dress. When I get the full length of the dress, I'm going to just take away 1.5 inches from what I used on the hip. Whatever it is, take away 1.5 inches and create a line. So that will give you a nice shape. I'm going to mark the dots about 4.5 inches from the midpoint of my pattern sheet and create a dot. From the shoulder, I'll go down by 12 inches and mark that. And from the waistline down, my dot is going to be just 5 inches long. Since my dot is about 1 inch, because I left 1 inch for the sewing allowance, I'm going to create this triangle so that when the dot is folded, it will take it in and create that shape. Remember, this dress will not have dots in front, so just watch as we do this. So to create the side dart on the chest, I'm dividing that line by 2 and I'm going in just half an inch away from the dart and half an inch above the dart. Okay, once I do that, I'll mark the dart. I left the 1 inch allowance. I draw the triangle like so, and then I join the points nicely like that, and this side. So we have the side dart perfectly made, and then I am going to cut out. As I begin to cut, I folded this pattern sheet into two because of the design we're trying to do. And you remember we're taking out all the darts. So now I'm going to open up my pattern sheet like so. And I'll replicate that dart on this side of the pattern sheet as well, because I'll be sewing this dart directly on the paper. That's why I'm pinning it. Once I do the pinning, I'm going to sew directly on the sheet, and you're going to see why. On this side of the dart, from the midpoint of the dart, I'm going to draw a line from the shoulder point all the way down to the bottom of the dress. Once I draw that line, I'll cut it out and shape out the dart. Remember, I said we will not use darts on this dress. Look at that. I shape that out with my scissors, trim the dart, and then, of course, that of the chest as well. Watch that. I cut it a bit, and then I'm going to use a paper tape now to close up that dart. Wouldn't need to sew this side. I can just use this method. I'm closing it up with my paper tape. Cut, and on this side we trim the dart, the remaining dart left as well. Now I've sewn my darts on the sheet and I'm going to pin it to the fabric. Once that is done, pin it, because remember that this fabric now, or rather the pattern sheet, is not going to be flat, so you have to pin it systematically. I cut it out nicely into the shape, so now we won't need to make darts on the fabric. Then this side will be cut on the black fabric like so. I added 1 inch dart allowance because there was no allowance on the pattern sheet for this part, so I cut it out as well. And then you have the side that will be black. So I'm going to use a strip that is just 3.5 inches wide and the full length of the gown. This strip is going to be used for design. I fold it into two, sew it all the way down, and then I am going to create my interface because I'm not lining this dress. It's a lovely corporate dress that doesn't need lining. The fabric is quite heavy. So I simply placed the neckline of the back on another fabric. I didn't bother showing you the cutting of the back because the back is going to have that. So you can use my video on how to draft the back pattern of a basic bodice block to get how the back is going to look. It's as simple as that. So I now use this strip that was 3.5 inches wide, folded into two, placed on the front of the green part of the dress, pin it down and fasten it with the machine. So it's going to form like a flap and a design. And then I'll be sewing the black part on top of that. Just watch that all the way down. I iron it nicely to form a design. And then we need to cut the interface for the front. Remember I said we're not using lining. So I simply placed it on top of the fabric, another fabric, cut it out, made it about 4 inches wide. And then I went to stick on my paper gum to it. I've done so nicely, and I have also taken to the machine, sewed nicely, and then now I'm ironing. So once I iron, I turn over, and there you have a smooth, beautiful neck. So from this point on, my front is done. I'm cutting the sleeve. You could check my video on how to cut the basic pattern for a sleeve to get the design. I cut out the sleeve. Then at the back, I am marking the points for my zipper. I'm pinning my zipper right there. I decided to use the tacking to hold down my zipper. Took to the machine, fixed it right there nicely. And there you have, the back is done. So the next thing, once the back is ready now, we'll have to fix on the shoulder. For the unique thing about this design is that the back has dots. Yeah, but the front, I took out all the dots, so it's so smooth at the end. So right now I'm sewing the shoulders, just 1/2 inch sewing allowance, putting it together along with the interface, and that is nicely done. So I'm also going to close the two sides before putting in the sleeve. I'm closing the two sides by 1 inch sewing allowance, like so. Pin it down to the bottom of the dress, from under the armhole all the way down, because I left 1 inch sewing allowance. You can see the back has dots. It's beautiful. And I sew all the way down to the bottom of the dress. The same thing I'm going to do for the second side of the dress. I'll simply pin it, sew it down. I'll notch it a bit so that when we iron, it's going to be flat and beautiful. And then I close behind my zipper up to the beginning of the slit, where I want the slit to stop, because it's going to have a back slit. Now it's time to fix in my sleeves. The one for the right hand side goes into the right hand side, and I'm sewing it with a 1/2 inch sewing allowance. Look at that sleeve, so nicely fitted. And then I'm folding the bottom of the dress. So here we have our beautiful dress. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new today. Please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.